Welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT. We are here for episode 200. That is episode 200, two double zeros of 2020. And I'm very happy to have you here with us. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora has done plenty of shows throughout the years. I, through almost 18 years of broadcasting, have done a bunch of shows, and every single year we get to celebrate number 100 and number 200 of the year. So it is my pleasure and it is my honor as the confetti falls in the Cafe Kubal studios to be here with you today for episode 200. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora here with you on WakeUpCallDT.com, your one-stop sports shop. MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, where you can listen, as well as on Facebook Live, where you're watching on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT. Cafe Kubal is the studios, and you can find Cafe Kubal with mobile delivery coming to your neighborhood or your place of business. You can also have them home deliver to you, and if you live in Onondaga County, delivery, there is no delivery charge. And, of course, you can go to any one of their 5 locations. South Salina Street on 401 South Salina downtown. You can also go to the location on 324 West Water Street inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital, 3501 James Street, and their newest location on 208 North Townsend Street, the Holly Green Cafe. On today's broadcast for episode number 200 is Inside Amon, PazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Rob Drummond and Joe Adam joining the show. Rob Drummond, a former Syracuse running back. Joe Adam, the former offensive line coach of Syracuse, who coached up a lot of these guys that have just now transitioned on and have finished up their eligibility at Syracuse. So we will speak with Joe Adam on what he's seeing and what Rob's seeing as well. It's amazing how things just kind of work out the way that they do, and God is great. Because Rob was with me on show number 100 of 2020. And I didn't do this on purpose, but Rob is with me on show number 200 of 2020. I couldn't imagine spending it with anybody better. It's awesome how I got to have him and Steve Adazio on show 100, two guys I respect and appreciate. And here we are again with two guys I respect and appreciate. Rob is the common denominator, so let's bring the man into the show. Rob, you're here for another monumental moment in Wake Up Call history, and I wouldn't want anybody else to be here. How are we doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How's it going? I mean, I was just thinking to myself, I was like, wait a minute, wasn't I just on a 100 show also? But you confirmed it. But yeah, it's always great, always good. I talk to you all the time, so we're just talking normally like we normally do.
Yeah, that's the awesome thing. Rob and I are just doing our thing. We talked a couple days ago. Rob had to have 4 hours to cool down, but he's good now.
I'm good now. I managed to curtail my anger with my orange and my Eagles, so I'm good.
Yeah, I'm gonna say to you, I'll say this, waking up on Monday morning, my Syracuse Orange that I, obviously have grown up around in my hometown and all that, they lost to a winless team. My Jacksonville Jaguars lost to a winless team. So I can tell you that this morning I'm feeling it too, Rob, and it's been a very interesting go at it, but let's start with your Eagles, and because I got to see the tail end of that Pittsburgh Steelers game. What were your thoughts?
They're struggling, and when a team is struggling, you have no further to look than the coaching staff. It's not the players. The players are there, to run the schemes that the coaches implement during the week. So, a lot. I mean, some of the fault can be put on the players, but at the end of the day, they're not getting rid of the players. It's the coaching staff that will have to go. They're just not being coached well right now. Right now, there's team in turmoil, and it's sad to watch. It really is.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles, and not just that, but the NFC East as a whole, it's kind of like whoever wins, we lose type of thing. They came into this week with a record of 3 wins, 12 losses, and 1 tie combined. And now, as we look forward with them and look at this division of the NFC least, as some people like to call it, the NFC 2-3, the Cowboys are in first. Philadelphia Eagles 1-3-1 in second. Washington 1-4 in third. The Giants 0-5 in fourth. Rob, I mean, it's the only division in America of the 8 divisions in the NFL. It's the only division of the NFL that has a top team with a losing record. Thoughts?
And it's frustrating to watch, but it's also the only division of the 8 divisions in the NFL that has all 4 teams that have been Super Bowl winners. So there's a gamut of that you can also look at as a positive. These teams have had winning legacies. The Eagles have won the Super Bowl, the Redskins have won the Super Bowl, the Giants have won the Super Bowl, and so have the Cowboys. So you take that into account. And their teams right now. People can look at COVID, they can look at the whole trading, aspect behind the game with all these injuries and things that have happened. And one thing I want to say, as much as I am an Eagle fan, as much as I can't stand the Dallas Cowboys, as much as they're, been grind-like years, and I absolutely wish nothing good on them. My heart and prayers go out to Dak Prescott because at the end of the day, I'm a human being and I'm a person and I'm a fan of the players more so than I am a team. I'll always cheer for Cowboys players to do well, because as a former player myself, you always want to see them do well, and you never want to see anybody get hurt, especially with an injury like that. And that's why I always tell players, or I always tell people, when players go out there and they basically beg these owners for the money that they deserve, it's because of an injury like this. This could be a career-ending injury for Dak Prescott, and instead of him having now a contract that would have secured his family for the rest of his life, $100+ million dollar contract. Now he has to take the 30. Granted, 30 million. Anyone can live off 30 million if they're smart, but the going rate of a player of his caliber at this time should have given him. Jerry Jones should have given him a contract that would have secured his future, just like the rest of the quarterbacks. Just like a Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson, or Carson Wentz. I can go on and on and on. And my heart goes out to him because of this, he probably has lost tens of millions of dollars. But you see why players hold out now instead of getting hurt. Now you look at someone like a Le'Veon Bell. Now you see why he held out for the money that he wanted instead of going out there and getting hurt and getting nothing. That's why these players hold out. That's why these players stick to their guns and go out there and get the money that they are deserved. Dak Prescott is going to struggle now to get the money he deserved because he's hurt with an injury you hope he can come back for. But thankfully, it wasn't career-ending, or it won't be career-ending. But yes, to go back on the point of the NFC East, it's frustrating, but it's football. It's life. As frustrated as I was with my Philadelphia Eagles and my Syracuse Orange, you know what? God gave me a chance to wake up today. So it's another chance to be able to go out there, shake it off, and do what I do best. And just go out there and be the best person I can every day. And everyone should do that. That's not just me. I don't own the patent on waking up, being happy, and just going out there and do the best I can. Everyone can do that. And that's what I advise everyone to do every single day, because it's the best way to feel. It's the best way to live. And it's the one that's going to give us purpose and, and moving forward.
That coming here from Rob Drummond this morning, Syracuse CFL and NFL alum, and one of my closest friends here with us to celebrate Wake Up Call's 200th episode of 2020 here inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Rob, for you, like you said, with Dak's injury and everything, I did not believe that he was, coming into the season, I was like, listen, if you get it, you get it. You get the money, young gun, you get it. You get them to pay you, then let's do it. But, I said he's not a $33 million quarterback going into the season.
I was saying the same thing. But you know what? That's on Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones should have signed him 2 years ago. Should have gave him a $1 million, $2 million extension because at that point he was worth that $33 million about 2 years ago because he was playing well and he was doing enough to garner that money. And you wouldn't have had this this backlog of now him running through his contract and basically playing for free. And by playing for free, he's leading the NFL in pass yards right now. Well, maybe not after this game because he was injured. He was leading in passing yards and touchdowns. Granted, their record didn't show it, but that's not on him. Dak doesn't play on defense. The Cowboys' defense is horrible. The only other defense I think is worse is the Giants and my Eagles.
And the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah. And I'm not gonna get on them. But that's one thing. I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today, and I was telling him the one thing you really never see me do. You'll never see me badmouth another player. I'll badmouth a team. I don't like teams. I don't like the Cowboys. But you know what? You'll never see me badmouth a player because I understand what it takes to be a Division I college athlete, the grind it takes. I understand what it takes to be a professional athlete, the grind that takes. So I know what those guys are going through. I know what they're dealing with. I know, the head games that are being played with them. So I'll never knock them down more than they're already being knocked down. So that's one thing you'll never hear me really do is badmouth the player. I'll critique them, but I won't badmouth them because I know, in order for them to do certain things, get better and help their team win, they got to get better. And that's on them. So I'm not going to knock anybody down, or at least trying, because all these guys, they're trying. They're really trying, and just try and meet them halfway and give them the credit for even being in a position to be able to do that, because 99% of people who are sitting on the couch making comments about them can't play themselves. So why would you knock down somebody who's doing something that you couldn't do yourself? That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that, there's a lot of armchair quarterbacks and Monday morning quarterbacks.
Gosh, you have no idea. Oh, you do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do, because I have people, I could do that job. I could broadcast, and I could give my thoughts, and I'm on Twitter, and I know all the information. And I'm like, everybody on Twitter apparently has a degree. But the reality of it all is, the 999 times you're right, they don't say anything. No, but the one time you're wrong, that's when everybody wants to talk about it.
Yeah. Trust me, I'm with you. I get it also. As someone who came from from the gridiron, to the sportscasting movement, to the talk radio, trust me, I get it also. What do you know? I know a lot. I spent 15 years of my life playing professional football, so I can tell you a little bit about that. I spent 4 years of my life playing Division I college football, actually on a team that went undefeated. So I'll tell you a lot about that also.
And it is. It's frustrating, but it's one of those things. We look at this and we look at obviously what's happened to Dak and what's happened to Saquon Barkley inside of the NFC East as well. With his ACL, and we know what hopefully, God willing, he stays healthy. We know what has happened to Carson Wentz. Alex Smith was able to come back yesterday from a potentially career-ending injury that had happened. So, all these teams have seen it. But, Rob, the one thing that we can say when we wake up here on Monday, October 12th of 2020, is that a team that has no name is not leading the division. Because I remember, I sat here a couple weeks ago and I said, how do you lead a division with a losing record and you don't even have a team name? And that being the Washington football team. I'm like, we don't even know what to call you. The Eagles play the football team. They're all football teams. And then what does Dan Snyder say? He says, well, I think it's kind of trending. It could catch on. We could stay this way. And my response, well, number one, apparently nobody has any type of ingenuity with the Washington team. And number two, I hope that the groundskeeper gets paid by letter for all the letters he has to put in that end zone. What are your thoughts?
You know what? It was one game. And people get so riled up after one game. They're leaving it's just one game. It's a 16-game season. So people just hang on to everything that instantly happened, It's like the NFL, it's like any professional sport, just like life. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. So anybody can win the 100-meter dash. Yeah, it's over quick. But no, this is a 26-mile race. So just wait. Just hold on. A lot of things are going to happen. A lot of lows, a lot of highs. So at this point now we're the Redskins. After 5 weeks, they're at the bottom of the basement. So all this talk about them in the beginning being a no-name team, leading the division, has gone out the window because the Cowboys are leading the division now. So it's just a facade for people to be able to go out there and just talk about something from the moment. I'm not a for the moment person. I'm a marathon type person. I'm in for the long haul. So I just try and sit there and pick and choose and see what's wrong, see what's right, see what we can improve on, see what we can make better, see who we can get rid of. And that's how I go through my head. And I go through my head doing that with the Philadelphia Eagles. I go through my head doing that with my Syracuse Orangemen. I go through my head doing that with every other single team. Because now in my head, I'm an analyst. I use my experience, the pick and choose and see what's good, what's bad, what's not this. Like I can sit here and tell you, the Clemson football Tigers are the most dominant football team I've seen in a long time. They're good. They're very, very good. But I knew they would be good because I saw the nucleus they had coming back from last year. Trevor Lawrence is going to be a special player. Trevor Lawrence has to get out of his own head right now. He's good. He's not as good as he thinks he is, but he's very, 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 very good. And he's going to learn that. Humility is going to hit him in the face. And when it does, he'll be a great player. But for right now, he's on top of the world. Mark my words. Just watch and see what happens. He's going to be a very talented young man, but he's going to get hit in the mouth. Joe Burrow is finding that out very, very quickly, what it takes to play at the next level. Because playing that's one thing. When I went from high school to Syracuse, I was like, whoa, wow, these guys are good. I was like, okay, I had to adjust my game. And I did. I did it with humility. When I went from Syracuse to the Philadelphia Eagles, whoa, trying to block guys like a Reggie White or a Clyde Simmons, or Seth Joyner or Jerome Brown. Holy smokes. I was like, wow, what did I have to do? I got to crumble or I had to up my game again. So I had to up my game again to become better. So it's always a learning process, sports is. And that's what the average, I won't say average, the unethical armchair quarterback doesn't understand, because they sit on a couch with a beer in their hand with a hoagie sandwich, sitting there watching the TV, and they analyze these guys. They have no idea what it takes to be in that position. They have no idea what the heart desire, the hard work, the meetings, the running in the morning, the getting the practices it takes to be in that position, because they sit on their couch, probably about 10, 15 to 20 pounds overweight, with a beer and a sandwich in their hand, judging. And I don't judge anybody.
I feel like there's a few people that are listening to the show this morning going, hey, Rob, I watched the games yesterday with a hoagie, and I'm a nice guy.
I said that because so do I. That's why I came up with it. I had a beer in my hand there, and I had a sandwich in my hand here, in there, watching the game. But the thing is, though, I give even with the Dallas Cowboys, I do not like the Dallas Cowboys. And that goes back to the bitter rivalry between the Eagles and the Cowboys and things of that nature. I don't like using the term hate, because it's just a word I don't like using. I do not like the Cowboys. If there was I put it this way: the closest thing that you can get to hate is how I feel about the Cowboys. But I don't hate the Cowboys. But still, when Dak Prescott got hurt, I felt for him, and at that point, I wanted the Cowboys to win just because of him. Because I know, as a man, what he went through to be in that position, to want a contract from the Cowboys that was deserving of him, that they didn't give to him. So now if Dak Prescott never plays again, he just gets that 1-year deal. Where all these other guys, these owners showed love for him and gave Carson Wentz $100 million signing bonus. Gave Deshaun Watson, gave Patrick Mahomes, gave all the, Lamar Jackson's contract's going to come up. So all these guys who are set for life, and Dak just gets, basically leftovers. So to me, it just felt wrong. And I say that not as a fan of the game of football. I say it as a fan of human life, of human beings. And people got to start caring more about the person than they more so about the team. I even, not to get off topic, but I even heard, or I even read, where Danny Green, the basketball player, congratulations to the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm not a Lakers fan, but congrats to anybody that's accomplished anything about winning a world championship, because I know what it takes. But Danny Green's wife and him got death threats from fans because he missed a shot. And I'm like, is that what we've become?
Yeah. Because
someone missed a shot in a basketball game, now you guys start sending death threats? How pitiful, how petty, how low of a person you must be about yourself and your life that you would send out a death threat to the wife of a basketball player because he missed a shot. It's a damn shot. It's just a basketball game. Sorry, but it's not that serious. My life is more than delved into just dealing with football or basketball or lacrosse or baseball or any other sports. It's not that serious. Good grief. Get over yourself, people.
Well, yeah, and that's been happening for forever. The baseball players, it was one of the Phillies pitchers that had won a World Series, and the year after he won a World Series, he had a bad game, and, the team wasn't doing well or whatever, and so it's like they forgot in Philadelphia that he had won, apparently, and the next, what'd you say?
Was it Mitch Williams?
It could have been. I'm playing the story back in my head right now.
I think Mitch Williams gave up a home run to lose the World. I think it was a World Series, and the city of Philadelphia was they were going to crucify that poor young man, And I was like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's just I get it. It's like the Eagles. If the Eagles had lost the Super Bowl, I would have been upset, but I would have gotten over it. Life goes on.
But that's the thing is, you see these death threats and these things that come up, and they happen with that game. They happen with other things. They happen all over the country, and maybe even outside. Obviously around the world. I can't speak to other countries, but I can imagine, especially with sports like soccer, around the world, how much people get upset about that, and Manchester United and this and that, and FC Barcelona and whatnot. But the reality of it all is, like you said. And I always liken life to a football stadium. There's 70,000 seats in the stadium. There's 11 on one side, 11 on the other side on the field. So, of a stadium that's packed full of fans, there's 70,000 seats, 90,000, whatever you want to say, but let's say 70,000. 70,000 fans, 22 players on the field. What I liken that to life, and people that know the show know that I've said this before, there's 70,000 people telling you that they could do better. 70,000 people telling you that they saw this or they saw that, and you didn't see this coming, and why didn't you do that, and what's wrong with you. 70,000 critics, 22 players, and that, to me, is the game of life. That is the reality of life. The majority of people sit and watch and commentate on what other people do. And then there's those of us where, and don't get the commentate word misconstrued here, there's those of us that chase our dreams, there's those of us that go after what we want. We're the ones on the field. Rob's on the field, literally and figuratively. I'm on the field. And that is life, Rob. Rob is that's what it is. It's a 70,000 seat stadium and 22 players. 70,000 people want to go on Twitter, tell you how to live your life, but 22 are actually living it. That percentage of 0.00003% of the world, I'm proud to be a part of that. And you got to shut out the outside noise because everybody's got an opinion, but not everybody is willing to go out there and chase what they want.
I agree. I mean, you're absolutely right. And people have to understand that the hard work, the commitment, the dedication, the long hours during the day, what it takes to be a professional athlete, even a collegiate athlete, it's just so much work. It's a grind. And especially for college athletes, they didn't have to deal with school. They didn't have to deal with your social life. It's just so much work that goes into it. It's just like, yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I'll sit there sometimes and I'll ask myself, just in reflecting, I always tell myself, how the hell did you do that? I ask myself that. Then I always come up with one answer, and it's one answer I tell the kids that I train all the time. You know what? You know why I was successful? You know why I put up with it? You know what got me through? I love the game.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the game. So, so the pain of practicing and going to class and, dealing with a 25-hour day and a 24-hour day, it was worth it to me because I loved it. And when I didn't love it anymore, I walked away. I knew the moment I walked off the field in my last game in Montreal, in 2002, I knew I did not love the game of football anymore. And I knew it was time for me to retire. So I retired. I was done because I lost it in my heart. Up until that point, I always had a game of football in my heart. Even now, I like the game of football. I don't love it like that, So I can take it or leave it. I enjoy developing players. I enjoy, seeing players successful and being happy in the game. But I tell every single athlete I always ever train, you know what? If you don't love this game, walk away because you're never gonna get the fulfillment out of it, the enjoyment out of it. That's truly the love of the game of football. Always do something that you love to do because it's never working every day. It's doing something that you love to do, and it's a passion. I love working with kids now and getting people in shape because they can live longer and achieve their goals as far as sports, or just live longer and achieve goals and living longer for your family. That drives me. That's an inspiration for me. And I try and inspire these kids to make them understand that if you don't love this game, you have to walk away from anything you don't love because eventually it's going to become toxic if you don't. And that's the one thing I try and inspire people to do. Love something, go wholeheartedly at it because it won't be hard because you love it. If you don't, you'll find out very, very quick.
Well, and I always say it. There's a very, very clear difference between what you truly love
and what you like,
and what you think you love, is what I always say. That the thought of and I said that I was like, when I'm chasing, when I go out there and I'm chasing my dreams, you get punched in the mouth. You learn very, very quickly. Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Or I think I do.
Yeah.
Because I love it. 18 years later.
Yeah.
There's things in my life that I thought I loved that are gone. So and that's when you realize if you're okay losing it because you get punched in the mouth and you go, you know what, screw this, I don't need this. You don't love it.
Nope.
But when you love it, you almost start to love getting punched in the mouth because you grin afterwards like the Hulk going, okay, you punched Bruce, but now you get the Hulk.
Yeah.
That's how it is, brother.
I mean, that's not sports. Sports is a great segue, a great inspiring tool, a great learning tool, for life.
Yeah.
Because it teaches you so many different things. You're going to have your ups. You're going to have your downs. You know, you have to learn how to lose before you ever learn how to win. People don't realize the year before we went undefeated in 1987. Do people realize the 1986 season we started off 0-4? The boos from the fans, the cat calls, it was horrible. It was the worst time. You know, and as college kids, I was only a sophomore at the time, but as college kids, you know, we're young adolescents. So psychologically, that really messed us up. You know, but you know what? We still got up every single day. We still had to be the same people every single day. We still had to get the same interviews. It didn't change who we were, but it just made us at one point, just start to work harder because people, counted us out. They didn't believe in us, and it hurts. It hurts a lot when someone doesn't believe in you, especially when they go on television, radio, or go on broadcast, radio, and just sit there and say demeaning and bad things. It stings. I mean, we don't think these athletes hear what we say, but they do, and it stings and it hurts because they're human beings also. It's like they didn't want to be put in this situation. They were just, by the grace of God, were able to be given an ability to be able to go out there and play a sport that they love. Can the rest of us sitting on the couch say that? I was a Division I college athlete. I was a professional football player. I can't play it right now. I'd get dominated. So I'm not going to knock down or take away someone's fight that I know is going out there and trying to best it in the hardest they possibly can to be successful in something. You think these players want to lose? They want to do bad? Look at Tommy DeVito. I'm not going to knock that young man. I talked to you on the phone personally about what I think he needs to do.
Yeah.
And I don't fault him. You know who I fault? I fault the coaching staff. They didn't develop that young man like they should be, or like they should. Because there's certain things I see as a former player that he's not good at, and that comes from being coached. That doesn't come from him. You have to be coached. Now, and even at the elite level, he's coached. Tom Brady had to be coached. So he's the best.
Tom Brady needs to be coached about how many downs there are in football now.
Yeah. But at this point, Tom Brady is a coach on the field. That's on him. I'm talking about a young man in college right now who needs to learn from a coach and the staff to develop him. I told you, with Tommy DeVito, it's just him. He's got happy feet, and it's just him not going through his read progression. Because he's nervous, and there's psychological things you can do with him to help him with that. Are they doing it? Apparently not, because he was doing it last year also. That's on the coaching staff. That's not on that young man. So I'm not going to sit here and fault that young man. And for people to sit here and say it's a good thing that he was hurt, don't become a fan. Because you're a fan for the wrong reason. If you wish ill will on a player or someone getting hurt, thinking it's going to be a better season, that's not the type of fan that that the university that anybody needs. Those are fair weather fans, and those are the fans they really don't need. Godspeed to him. I hope he heals. I hope he gets better. And comes back stronger. But it's just devastating to see a young man lose a year of football from an injury. That's the same thing I just said with Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Having him get healed and be able to come back strong.
Yeah, and that's our thing. We pray and we hope for a speedy recovery for Tommy DeVito and everything that's going on. Dino Baber said that the injury is not good. He was helped off the field, helped into the locker room, and with 10-14 left to go in the game, I was there on site at the Dome and saw him go into the locker room, go out into the tunnel, and then he came back and had a cast on as well as crutches. So my best to Tommy DeVito. I question Dino keeping him in when he was healthy because of some things going on, and even just to take him out to let him see the game, let him take a breather, let him see what he's doing wrong, be on the sideline, get a different angle, light a fire under his butt, whatever that may be. But yeah, Rob, you're absolutely right. Anybody wishing bad on him or wishing bad on it, listen, if you wish bad on anybody, number one, that's bad karma. Number two, the reality of it all is if you wish bad on somebody, why would you want somebody to do that to you? Would you want someone to, I feel like I'm talking to children sometimes when I'm talking to the world, but the question is, how can you wish bad on somebody knowing that, okay, so what if it happens? What if you wish bad on somebody and something horrible happens to them? Is that really going to make you happy? And then two, it's like, you understand that that all comes back around. You get out of the world what you put in. And some people say to me, well, Dan, bad people succeed all the time and good people go through strife and adversity. Listen, everybody goes through adversity. It's how you handle it. And no matter who you think is bad that's at the top right now, trust. And this is not me wishing bad on them. This is reality. Trust. If somebody made it to the top of the mountain by stepping on a bunch of bodies, trust. Those bodies will haunt them, and they won't stay up there forever.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah, that's how it
so
is.
Your ill will and bad comment towards somebody else will reflect back on you. It may not be the first day, it may not be the 101st day, but eventually it will come around too. That's why. I wish the best for anybody. When I had a family full of Cowboys fans. Whenever we went to Cowboys games, I just bite my tongue off. But I'm always like, but I don't wish bad at any player. I always want to see players successful. Just not win the game, but I want to see him successful.
Yeah.
So that's why my heart goes out to Dak Prescott, and I hope he recovers, and I hope he goes out there and gets $1 billion contract. I really hope this young man does. Because of what he's went through, the whole dealing with this thing, the whole off season, the whole business side of it. He got screwed over, and I hope this doesn't reflect on what's going to happen to him the rest of his career.
That coming this morning from Rob Drummond, Syracuse CFL and NFL alum, talking about a lot of different things. Rob, before we take a step aside for a fast break, I do want to get into some of the stuff on Syracuse's side of it. But before I do that, I want to give a shout out. There's obviously Syracuse players throughout history that watch and listen to the show. I cannot thank you all enough, Rob, you included, that, it's one thing to be a little kid, and I'll always be a little kid at heart, that gets to do what I love every single day. And to talk with the players, to talk with, the players that we all love to see, and that anybody would, do a lot of, do whatever it took to be able to talk to people like yourself. And then it's another thing to not only have that, but to have those players and those coaches and those people connected in the sports and entertainment world to go and listen to the show when they're not even a part of it. So I want to shout out everybody that connects to the show, and I can't thank you enough for doing the interviews. And, on top of that, I never expected the, former players and coaches and current players and coaches to be fans and supporters of the show and to be here and listen and watch even outside of it when they don't have any connection to the show. One of those people this morning being one of your offensive linemen, Turnell Sims. I had him on the show just a little bit ago. What can you tell me about Turnell? And as much as people don't want to believe it, the number one ranked offensive line in America was in Syracuse in 1989. So, number one, Rob, what do you think about the line? And number two, what do you want to tell me about that man, Turnell? And remember, he was very, very nice to you. So,
now, are we talking about on the field, or are we talking about off the field? Because up in Winding Ridge, and Turnell lived behind me, so I saw he saw all the shenanigans that went on in my apartment. I saw all the shenanigans that went on in his apartment. But what happens in Winding Ridge stays in Winding Ridge. You know what? And I wouldn't just be speaking for myself, but Michael Owens, Daryl Johnson, Donnie McPherson, Tommy Kane, Rob Moore, Pat Kelly, Pat Davis, DeVal Glover, William Pennyfeather. I can go on and on and on about the receivers or what we call the skill position in Syracuse. We owe a lot, to those guys up front. Mike Bernard, Gary McCummings, John Flannery, Turnell Sims, and Blake Bednarz. I could go down the line, and as a running back, they made my job so much easier because we were just in tune with one another. That was a great group of blockers up front. And at the time, my senior year, my junior year, they were still young. My senior year, they're a little bit more mature, but Michael Owens had them for a full year of being matured, football players. And I can even put Craig Stoppel was there my junior year also. But what a great group of guys, I mean, just to be able to go out there and just believe in themselves and just be super athletic, super strong, and just had and our offense back then was very, very confusing. I mean, most football players know, most plays are, even numbers to the right, odd numbers to the left. Well, if we had a guy go in motion, all of a sudden they would become even numbers to the left and odd numbers to the right. They'd be like, what the heck? I mean, Coach George DeLeon, you gotta love him, but it was so confusing. but it made us as football players have such a high IQ. And that's the one thing I stress with athletes now. Having a high IQ is what really makes you takes you from a good athlete to a great athlete. And Turnell was a great right tackle. I mean, there was this one I still remember the play. It was called 24 tide. Turnell would pull inside, kick out the inside guard. I would run right behind his behind. And it was the most fun play because I was already a banger and ran hard. And I would always love running behind Turnell because I know there'd be a huge hole there between Turnell and I used to love running the Turnell and Blake Bednar's side because I had Flannery at the center. Flannery was probably about 310. Blake Bednar was about 330, and Turnell was about 320. I love running to that side. Michael Owens will tell you the same thing. That was our favorite set. Moose Johnson will tell you the same thing. Not to take anything away from Gary and Mike Bernard. They were a little bit smaller, but running behind some 300-pound guys was fun.
Well, and we need to discuss something, Rob. Turnell had one concussion while playing college football at Syracuse. That concussion did not come from the opposing team. That concussion came from, I believe, your leg accidentally to his head. So can we talk about how the only concussion sustained by Turnell Sims was from Rob Drummond?
You know what? The one thing that was known about me amongst my teammates at Syracuse was that when I ran, get out of the way. They would always say, Drum's going to try and hit whatever's in front of him. If it's a brick wall, if it's a Mack truck, if it's an entire Penn State defensive lineman, he doesn't care. That's just the attitude I had. When you gave me the ball, I was going to try and destroy anything in front of me. I would apologize to my lineman afterward, but I would always tell him, move. You don't want to hit me, move.
Nice.
You know?
These guys blocking for you, doing everything they can, and it's like they're blocking, they're seeing what's in front of them. They don't know that's coming behind them, that train that is Rob Drummond. So what's it like for you to be the only career concussion for Turnell Sims?
Well, I mean, I apologize, you know, but hey, did we win the game? That's all that matters.
And he said that the right side of the line was better, and everybody knows it.
Oh, I used to love running behind that right side of the line. That was our dominant side.
You know, and I can't tell you the last time the right side was the dominant side for Syracuse's offensive line. So, and let's see what the Turnell said. Yes, I was young, Rob, learned quickly, and and he also said, yes, we won that game.
That's my boy T.
I love the honesty and the immediate. You're like, yeah, you're like, hey, did we win? And he's like, yeah, we won. I like that. I like that a lot. He's like, I was young, I learned, and then, you know, Turnell, I can't, I'm a big Kevin Hart fan, so when I read something like that, all I can picture is Kevin talking about his dad going, you go learn today. So I'm like, definitely awesome stuff from that. Rob, number 1 ranked offensive line in the nation. I say that, and I don't think people believe me because they're like, there's no way in heck that's ever connected to Syracuse because it's been so long. But back in 1989, it was the number 1 ranked offensive line featuring Turnell Sims, Blake Bednarz and company. Number 1 offensive line in the nation in the rankings. My, how the times have changed.
You know, I mean, it's just, and again, at what point as a coaching staff, now hear me out, at what point as a coaching staff, why would you not have the former players of a line that was ranked number 1 in the country come back and talk to your students or come back to talk to your athletes?
Yeah.
Why would you not have a Moose Johnson or a Michael Owens or a Robert Drummond or a Rob Moore or come back and talk to your players? You know, show them, all right, teach these young kids about what it takes to have a winning environment or a winning attitude. Because you damn sure don't know. But hey, let that ego eat you alive and destroy a program, you know? We can sit there and tell, I mean, I talk to the athletes more off campus than I do on campus.
Well, and Rob, we have current athletes on Syracuse's team that watch and listen. What do you want to say to them if they can hear you right now?
I mean, I'm always willing to talk to them. Eric Coley is like a son to me, so I always talk to Eric. But Eric's always like, man, you need to come up and talk. And I'm like, Eric, I'm not going to go to a place where I'm not wanted or I feel unwelcome. He's like, man, but you're a legend here. It's like, I know that. You know that. But it seems like your coaching staff doesn't know that. It's like at the end of the day, long after this staff is gone, at the end of the day, long after Dino Babers is gone, and not to sound, conceited or anything, but I'll still be Robert Drummond. A young man who busted his behind at JD High School, who busted his behind at Syracuse, and made a name for himself, on a football team that did very, very well. A team that's legendary, with the likes of a Daryl Johnson, a Michael Owens, a Tommy Kane, a Rob Moore, on defense, a Terry Wooden, a Teddy Gregory, a Marcus Paul, a Chris Ingram. With the likes of those guys who are Syracuse legends. But you shun us? You don't, you can't be involved? I told you, once Chris Stedney passed, rest in peace, Chris, and my ties at Syracuse were completely done. And it's sad. It's sad to watch. I've always loved and have nothing but love in my heart for that orange. But as far as this current organization and what I see going on, nah, I'll keep away because once the dust settles, I'll still be right here.
Well, and that's the thing is Rob, these players, the Mikel Jones of the world, the Trill Williams of the world, the Andre Siscos, the Sean Tuckers and the Taj Harrises and the Aaron Services and so on, and Kingsley Jonathans and so on and so forth. What do you want them to know? Because the current Syracuse coaching staff hasn't been open to your former players coming back like yourself and Turnell and whatnot. What do you want? And you guys were undefeated. You guys had, you were beating the FCC. You guys had #1 ranked this and that and whatnot. Ranked in the top 25.
Not just undefeated, high draft picks.
Right. So to the players that are at Syracuse right now, what do you want them to know? Because it's not a you problem. It's a up on the hill problem because
Yes.
I think some of these players don't even know that the former players want to talk to them. So what do you want to say to the players that are listening and watching right now? What do you want to say to them? Because I know that this is a Syracuse University issue and not a Rob Drummond or Turnell Sims or alumni issue. You want to talk with these guys. You want to be around these guys. And I think, I think of Mikel Jones and a Trill Williams and an Andre Sisco and a Tommy DeVito and an Aaron Sir and so on and so forth. I believe that, these guys would, I would like to venture to say that they would welcome hearing from you. But unfortunately, the bridge between the university and the alumni has been blown up by the university. Yeah, has been blown up by the university. So, what do you want to say to the players that are currently there?
But honestly, the one thing they have to understand is that we're always orange, no matter what, and we love them. Because we've been there before. We get it. We understand. But they're in a situation right now where it's like, in that same respect. But it's like, listen to your coaches. So we don't want to step on anybody's toes. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to go up there, and have a camaraderie or have a companionship with some players, and then have their coaches, not like that, or think that we went behind their back to do something, because that's not good on the players. Coaches can't do anything to us. We're former players. We're legends. We're in the past, but they can punish the players for it, and that's what we don't want. We want these players to understand and learn respectability. So respect your coaches. We get that. It's no fault of the player. But at any given time, any time they ever want to reach out to us or talk to one of us, we're never going to turn them away. We're definitely going to give them the best advice we possibly can for them to be successful. It's not about me. It's not about Syracuse University. It's about these young men developing, becoming better, and moving on, and leaving this game at Syracuse behind them, and hopefully going out to the NFL and making a name for themselves. Legends teach legends. Hear what I just said? Legends teach legends. I'm a former Syracuse University football legend. Turnell Sims is the same thing. Michael Owens is the same thing. Daryl Johnson is the same thing. Donnie McPherson is the same thing. And we can teach and mold these young guys in the being possibly first-round draft choice or second-round draft choice or third-round draft choice, because we know what it takes to be in that position. We know what it takes to get to that level. We were at Syracuse during a time where we were very, very, very successful. And not only did the community, but the university and the community have, had a great rapport. There is no rapport now between the city of Syracuse and the university. Zero. I bet you if you go into the city right now, half the city of Syracuse couldn't name 3 or 4 players on the current football team. It's like I always tell you, who's a current starter on a current football team that's from the city of Syracuse?
There's nobody.
I know that, but
there's nobody. There's nobody.
So how can a city relate to a bunch of people who they can't relate to. They don't know anybody, so and you're not winning also? Bad formula. Very, very bad formula. You know what destroys everything? Ego and arrogance. Destroys everything. Just look around the world.
Well, they say it, and they always say it, Rob, pride before the fall.
Ego and arrogance destroys everything. But hey, I'll just sit back and just like those memes I see online all the time. Sit here and eat my popcorn and watch it all unfold. It has nothing to do with me. At the end of the day, people can sit here and be like, wow, Syracuse football sucks. Wow, Robert Drummond, you were one of my favorite players. Thank you, sir. Hey, what does it mean? It means I'm still loved here, but they seem to hate you. Why is that? It is what it is.
Well, and the thing that's unfortunate is that, the players that are there now struggle through decisions that are made above them. And that's the tough part right now because, you look at a guy like Mikel Jones, you look at a guy like Trill, you look at a guy like Andre Sisco, and you say, these are potential NFL draft picks. And the one thing that I found a real disconnect with is that in the era of Dino Babers, now in his 5th season at Syracuse, guys aren't getting drafted, number one. If they are getting drafted, they're getting drafted low, and there's not a lot of respect for Syracuse. Zaire Franklin gets drafted in the 7th round. He's a 3rd-round draft pick, 4th-round draft pick, gets drafted in the 7th round, and you and I talked about it off the air over the weekend. I said, I knew he was going to make the team. I know people with the Colts were like, who's this 7th-round pick? How the hell did he make the team? This year, he's a captain. So it's like from 7th-round pick to make it a 53-man roster to being a captain. And then, you look at some of these other guys. You look at Elton Robinson, who was drafted low. You look at the
should win the second or third round.
So I mean, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Andre Sisco at Syracuse, he's a 3rd or 4th round pick. Andre Sisco at Ohio State, he's a 1st-round draft pick, maybe in the top 10. So it's one of those things that is an unfortunate, but not only is the team losing on the field, but it seems like Dino's connect to the NFL is another bridge that just doesn't seem to be there.
Don't get me started, man. Not enough time in the day for me to go off about that. As I said before, this is what? Dino's 5th year?
Yes.
And I've still never met him. Crazy, huh?
Yeah. Especially because Syracuse is not that big, and you are probably maybe 15 minutes from the campus.
Phone call away.
Yeah.
But but like I said, I mean, I'm not going out of my way to save a sinking ship when a ship doesn't want to be saved. It's not my problem. It's not my issue. I love my orange, but hey, that's your job. You want me to come in and talk? Yeah, I was successful. I spent 15 years doing what your young men want to do. Why don't you ask them to ask somebody who's done it before, as opposed to thinking you know everything? But hey, that's your issue, not mine. It is what it is.
But that's the thing that's heartbreaking is like I said, and not to belabor the point, but I care about the guys at Syracuse, and
So do I.
and I love. I mean, from everybody from that's passed on, rest in heaven, to obviously like Ernie Davis and company, to Jim Brown, and I had a dream about Floyd Little last night, a very good friend of mine, and to connect in all those ways, past, present, and future. Like I said, I look at the Mikel Jones. I look at the fact that he came into the season, didn't have an interception in his career. He gets his first interception of his career first game. Then in the second game, he gets the second one. Then he's out there doing his thing. This team created fumbles and opportunities. The defense is doing so many fantastic things. And I know that it's a team and it's a unit, but there's so many layers to this. It's do you have the right quarterback under center? It is, what are we training the offensive line to do? Where are the mechanics? Where should guys be? Why aren't they running the ball when Sean Tucker showed success in this game and showed success in the game prior to? But, the players on this team, I love them. I respect them. I appreciate them. I honor them. And above everything else, yes, the team is 1-3. Yes, they're losing. Yes, there's a lot of things to constructively talk about. But at the end of the day, Rob, these are kids. These are young men. These are, good people. I get to be around them and speak to them. I respect the heck out of them. And I just want things to get better. And I have tried, and I will continue to try, to speak to the young players, the current players, about the former players and say, y'all need each other, because the best person to sell your hair products are the ones that use your hair products. And the best way to sell Syracuse and keep these guys afloat is to talk with them about the guys that came here that were no stars, 1 star, 3 star, 2 stars, and they won undefeated, and they beat SEC teams, and they were ranked in the top 10, in the top 25. I really honestly feel like we're missing the boat here. You need to be on campus. Scott Schwades needs to be on campus. Turnell Sims needs to be on campus. We need to see more of the Donovan McNabbs, more of the Don McPhersons, not just once. Joe Morris has been back to campus like 1 time. We need to see all these things. Rob Moore needs to come back. You know, we need to have these connections. Todd Philcox, and so on and so forth. The players deserve you, and the coach has to open that door, because I respect and love all the former players, but I respect and I love all these guys that are fighting, and there's nothing inside of me that believes these guys are trying to lose, and it makes me so upset that, you know, there's pride or whatever it is in the middle of all this to say, hey, you know what? Something's not working. Take a step back. Let the Rob Drummonds of the world back in. Let them talk to these players, because these players need to hear from you. They need to know what it's like to have a losing season, a terrible, terrible time, to be screamed at, laughed at, yelled at, and totally ignored. And then what you guys did right after that. You went 21-2. You had an undefeated season. There's only been 2 in Syracuse history. You had 1 of them. It's time for the players to be able to hear from you guys. And I implore the university, with a team at 1-3, to open the door, because these players deserve better. They deserve you.
That would take common sense, and good luck at that. Man, I've been yelling at from the top of my lungs for the past. I've been retired since 2002. It's still nothing. So, you know, when the ball on silent ears, there's only so much you can do. I throw my hands up and whatever. Like I said, when the dust settles, I'm still going to be here. You know, I'll still always be here for the players. If they need me off campus, that's fine. But, you know, and here's the thing. It's just not me saying that. It's so many of my former players, my former teammates, so many of us are saying the same thing. You know what? When a group of people, all who have been successful, you know, not just in football, but but in business, you know, we have doctors, we have lawyers, you know, we have teachers, we have, you know, we have principals, we have, you know, politicians. When they've all been successful in life, we just want to teach these kids how to be successful in life. But that's just shut down because they want to do it their own way. Your own way hasn't worked in how many, since 2003, since the Greg Robinson era. But hey, keep doing it your own way. Footnote: your own way's not working. But hey, what do I know?
That coming here from Syracuse alum Rob Drummond. Rob, I want to look on the positive side of things. I know that there's a lot of struggle. I know that there's a lot of ups and downs and whatnot. But you know, on the defensive side of it, I got to give credit to, you know, this team. There was a time in Syracuse history that wasn't that long ago where Syracuse was not getting a turnover in a game, let alone multiple turnovers, getting creating forcing fumbles, fumble recoveries, interceptions. Syracuse has gotten an interception, at least one, in every single one of their 4 games this season. They've created forced fumble opportunities and recovered the ball. They have had defensive touchdowns, multiple ones of that. What can you say about the defensive side of the ball and the fact that, you know, some people call it a cliche, but Syracuse's defense was their best offense against Duke. So what can you say about it?
It's fun to watch that defense. They fly around, try and make plays, but it gets to a point where if the offense is not scoring points, the defense can only do so much. You know, and that's got to be frustrating. I mean, you understand, you know, it's your teammate, you know, it's your comrade, you know, it's your brother in arms out there fighting with you, you know, but it gets to a point where it's like, come on, guys. You know, we can only hold them out of the end zone for so long. They're going to score points, but we got to score points to beat them. So it gets to a point where it gets frustrating, and some of the bickering back and forth, I can only imagine right now what's going on, you know, because they banned pretty much everybody from attending practices, you know. It's so secretive, you know. The number one team in the nation, you can't watch them practice. It's like, you should have the whole damn town watching them practice because, I mean, you're not doing well as an organization, you know. So what are you trying to hide? Were you trying to hide this practice or this game plan that you had against Duke? No need to hide that. It didn't work. It wasn't good. You know, and lucky Georgia Tech had five turnovers. That's what got you a victory. You know, let's be honest and let's be real about what's going on and what we see. You know, they're struggling right now. You got to ask yourself, why are you struggling? They have the athletes. You know, they have an Eric Coley. They have a Cisco. You know, you can go up and down the line of the athletes here at Syracuse. So what's wrong? The game plan, the game schemes, and the coaching. Everyone talks about how great we were in 1987 and went undefeated. Okay, yeah. We had some great players, but we also had great coaching schemes that allowed us to win. We were down in a game against who were we playing? Oh, Boston College in the Carrier Dome. We were down 17-0 early in the first quarter. We ended up winning the game 47-17. You know, we were down a minute and 13 seconds. You know, to West Virginia. Went down the field, scored. Not only scored a touchdown, but scored a two-point conversion to win the game, 31-32. You know, we went out there with a great game plan and blew Penn State out of the water. It was a game plan from the coaches that allowed us to win. They just took the athletes and put them in the, you know, you take a round peg and put it into a round hole. You take a square peg, put it into a square hole. Seems like Syracuse right now is just trying to put a round peg into a square hole and a square peg into a round hole. Stop trying to be so difficult. Stop trying to be so, you know, obstinate about allowing others to want to help you. Babers and his staff can take all the credit. We don't care about that. We're legends. All we want to do is help.
Right. You know, and that's a tough part of all this is that all you want to do.
Credit, Dan.
Right.
We're legends.
And I know that. You know, nobody can change what's already been done. You know, what you did on the field is history. Now
you hit the nail on the head.
Nobody can change what you've done. Now it's just about helping these kids that deserve to be helped and putting an ego aside, God forbid. Alan had kind of a drop the mic type of comment. He said, you don't need an audience to see you do things wrong.
No, you don't.
So, you know, that's another thing. You know, it's another hitter here. You know, Rob, we know that Tommy DeVito is hurt. We know that his season this season has been marred by what looks like poor vision or just not surveying the field.
That's coaching, though.
Right.
It's not Tommy. It's coaching.
So, I mean, obviously the quarterback situation has struggled, but you say that, you know, it's coaching, not Tommy. When Rex comes out, same issues with vision. So, you know, that goes to your point of saying, okay, how does your backup quarterback throw to a ghost after your starting quarterback threw to a bunch of ghosts? So now the question is, where do they go from here? They have young guys that haven't played a down in college football at quarterback, and they also have Rex Culpepper. What are your thoughts as we move forward here on what Syracuse should do at quarterback? Is it time to have an open competition in practice and maybe even let some of these guys come out we haven't seen yet? What do you do if you were the coaching staff at Syracuse and you knew that Tommy was not going to be out there? Where do you go from here?
You know what? Honestly, and Coach Mack used to always tell us, as players, you know, it's the small things that count. So the first thing I would try and do, I would try and understand my quarterback's weaknesses and work on their weaknesses. Doesn't matter if you work on something you're strong at all the time, because you'll be strong at that all the time. But when you have to, in a game or in a situation, decide to do something that's you're not comfortable with, you know, then you flake out and you don't do it well. So, it's like I told you, with Tommy DeVito right now, he's just not seeing the field right now. He's not seeing it well. But there's certain psychological drills as a football coach that you can do to work on a young man to get better at that. Apparently, they're not doing it, but hey, it is what it is. I love that saying. You know, you can't change the narrative. I can't get into the Syracuse Packers to understand what these players are going through, or the small weaknesses and things that they're not doing well at, to what they need to do. I can look at a game film and tell you this isn't being done, this isn't being done, this isn't being done. But what does it matter? They're going to close the practice off and do what they want to do anyway. So I'm not going to waste my breath on stuff that I can't change. So why?
And Rob said it is what it is, and you all know that I always put this up, and it's here in my studio. It is what it is, but it will become what you make of it. So that is right here. It is what it is, but it will become what you make of it. Because I am not a fan of it is what it is. I'm a fan of what are we going to do about it? What are we going to change about it? How are we going to make it better?
But here's the thing. You keep saying we. It's not me and you, Dan. We can't do anything.
I know.
It's their decision. They call all the shots. They do.
Right.
What can we do?
Well, and the thing is that okay, so you call all the shots, but what's the you and I have said this plenty of times on the show. They call the shots, we don't. But what's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
So what benefit does Syracuse have of being pride-filled, egocentric, and whatever? We're just going to try to jam this square peg into this round hole. We don't care if we break it. We don't care if we like scratch up the edges. We're gonna shove this square peg into this round hole no matter what it takes, even if it means risking it all, breaking it at the end of the day, cracking this square. We're gonna try and shove it into the round hole.
And that's what they're doing. You know the one thing I've learned in life, after losing games, I'll reiterate. I'll go back to in the '86 season. We learned what it felt like to lose games. We hear ridicule, we not hear praise. To be booed, and we corrected it. We had former players come in all the time and talk to us. Coach Mack would always come, bring a former player in, and not just we had community access. He did everything we can for us to be successful. With Coach Mack, it was not always about him. We had open practices for the media. I mean, granted, 2 days before a game or anything, you shut practices down, no media, which you understand. But on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the media was completely allowed into our practices. We had a good camaraderie with the media. They were allowed to talk to us on sidelines, blah, blah, blah. When we got serious, when Coach Mack would tell them, all right, don't film this right now. And there was a respect. There's no respect between the media and Syracuse University. There's no respect between the university and former players right now. None. And my thing is, though, that's on them. What can we do? We're on the outside looking in. But here's the thing. It's not making us look bad. No one looks at the former players and say, oh, Syracuse University sucks. What are the former players? No. We won. They loved us. That's when they could cheer and they had fun. Being able to take the one thing I always say, I was so prideful in being able to let the fans and the families of Syracuse University be able to go to a destination point during a warm weather place, whether it be New Orleans, whether it be Tampa, whether it be Atlanta, for bowl games, during the wintertime, because it just showed them the appreciation and respect we have for them to be able to give them a bowl game to come to and watch us also. That's gone. It's gone.
It is, and we need, and the thing is we fight, and you hope to see it come back, but again, I will never understand why, since Paul Pasqualoni left, there has been this slam door in your face. Right. Well, yeah, I'm trying to be nice about it, but after Paul Pasqualoni was fired in 2001. It's been Greg Robinson slammed the door. Doug Marrone, ironically, because he's an alum, slammed the door. Scott Schaefer slammed the door. Dino Baber slammed the door. And, and as time has gone by, the media gets less and less to see in practice, now to nothing. And the former players are not allowed in. So let's look at this. The media can't assess the team, take notes, and see how you're either progressing or regressing. And look at where the team is at with the media not able to tell the story. The former players are not allowed in the building. Look at where that is at with trying to tell the story. And I'm not talking about Corona times. I'm talking about in general. It's been going on for a while. So nobody to cover your practice, nobody to cover what your team is doing or not doing right, and nobody to talk to them about coming through the walls before that they did. And that system isn't working. So you could let us in when Corona is lifted, God willing, and hopefully soon. You could let the players in when this is lifted. Or you could just continue to slam the door in everybody's face and hope that a team that nobody knows anything about that continues to lose is going to eventually catch on. I don't know how you sell a product that nobody can see.
I tell my sons, Syracuse and what they're doing is not going to hurt my legacy ever with Syracuse. 50 years from now, they'll be still known as a bad team, a bad era. And I'll still be known as, a local kid that made it.
Yeah, it's crazy, Rob. But we continue on. We fight on. Rob and I have so much to talk about. Feel like we got to a lot, and then we have so many more things to say, and we're going to this Saturday at the Wildcat Sports Pub for Syracuse and Liberty. We will be there to speak with one another. Rob is going to have an oxygen tank that's right next to us, so when he gets really upset, he can be able to just like take some oxygen, go off to the side, and we're going to bring him back onto it. I told him I'll do whatever I have to do. I'll have water. We'll have plenty of body armor there for you. We'll have an oxygen tank and ready to go. But Rob and I will be there to talk with you. No matter what happens against Liberty, we will be at the Wildcat Sports Pub this coming Saturday to discuss it on Saturday, October 17th. Rob, as always, I appreciate and I thank you for everything. And, you know, on behalf of my city and your city, I just hope that they open the door at some point, hopefully soon.
We'll see. I won't hold my breath.
That's very true. And if you do, I told you I got the oxygen tank. We're good. All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Dan. Later.
Take care. That coming from Rob Drummond here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets life. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we spin back around, we'll be here with Joe Adam in our second part of today's 200th episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. That's right, folks. We are 200 of 2020, not 200 overall. I well passed that a long time ago. But we are in episode 200 of 2020, and I am so happy to be able to share that with you today. So thank you so much for hanging out with us, and let's get the confetti streaming all over here. So we're going to have some fun. We'll be back here right after this fast break where sports truly meets life.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.